Alright, so the book we read was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury was born on August 22nd, 1920 in Waukegan, Waukegan, Illinois. His parents were Leonardo Bradbury and Esther Bradbury. And he loved magicians and reading adventure and fantasy fiction books. And he decided to become a writer at the ages of 12 or 13, hopefully to emulate his heroes.
Early life and career. His family moved to Los Angeles in 1934. He participated in the school drama club and befriended Hollywood celebrities. He graduated in 1938 from high school. He couldn't go to college due to his lack of money. And while after he graduated high school, he went to the library for 3 days a week for 10 years. And he sold newspapers on the side to support himself while he wrote. And he usually typed in his family's garage or behind the houses and stuff. And he started typing in the basement of a library at the University of California.
Alright, books. So in 1939 he wrote his first full issues of his own fan magazine called Futuria Fantasia. And in 1941 he sold his first professional book called Pendulum. In 1943 he decided to turn into a full-time writer. In 1947 his first collection of short stories called Dark Carnival. And in 1950 he published his first major work called The Martian Chronicles. And in 1953 was when he published Fahrenheit 451. And after that, he wrote other numerous screenplays and treatments, like the 1956 version of Moby Dick. And from 1986 to 1992, he had his own HBO series. And he published more than 30 books, close to 600 short stories, screenplays, and plays. And he's won numerous awards, and his favorite one being the Ideal Consultant for the United States Pavilion at the 1964 World Fair.
His awards. In 2000, he won the National Book Foundation Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters. In 2004, he won the National Medal of Arts. And in 2007, he won the Pulitzer Prize Special Citation.
Bradbury wrote well into his 80s, and he felt content about his place in the world around science fiction history, having to achieve his childhood dream, and by living forever through his work, stating, "I don't need to be vindictive. I don't want attention. I never ask anyone's opinion. They don't matter to me." And he died in Los Angeles on June 5th, 2012 due to a long illness.
About Fahrenheit 451. Time and place written was 1950 to 1953 in Los Angeles, California. The genre would be dystopian science fiction. The setting of the book was in the futuristic 21st century, and the setting is in an unspecified city in the United States.
at the beginning of Fahrenheit 451, we meet a firefighter named Guy Montag, who actually turned out one that firefighter. He actually started fires, and one day on his way home from work, he met a young girl named Clarice McLennan, who is very open about her opinions on the world. At first, Montag was trying to ignore Clary. He said he was walking home, but when he got home, he actually started thinking about her in his head. And when he got home, he sees his his lovely wife Mildred. Mildred either unintentionally or intentionally took a whole bottle of pain pills while she's sitting there in her bed, just staring blankly up at the ceiling. So eventually, Montag does call for an MD to pump all the pills out. Early the next morning, as Montag wakes up, now he notices that his wife is no longer in bed. So, as in a rush, he went downstairs only to see her eating toast, and she don't remember anything that happened from last night. Well, only for him to say that she took a whole bottle of pills, only for her to deny it. Over the next week, Montag talks to Clarice. And on the 8th day, he did not see Clarice. On the 8th day. Montag asked if firemen ever prevented fires, and some firemen pulled out a book written by Ben Franklin, called Firemen of America, but by Benjamin Franklin, two parent English influenced books. Next thing, the alarm tent goes off, and at some house, and there's books in the attic that they go and burn. But eventually there's a book that falls into Montag's hand, and he goes in and slips in the side of his jacket. And the woman who was living in the house, however, refused to leave, and when after they drenched the house in kerosene, she ended up lighting a match, and she was burning herself with her books.
A few days later, after Montag witnesses the old woman being burned alive with her books, he hears that Clarice has been killed by a car. At this point, Montag is unhappy and doesn't like where his life is going at this current state. Montag tries to find comfort in his stash of stolen books that he's stolen from these houses that he's burning. But unfortunately, Mildred finds one of the books under his pillow, and then they end up arguing, and he shows her the stash that he's been hiding in the vents of the house.
As Mildred starts to panic and goes to put one of the books that she found in the kitchen incinerator, Montag stops her to tell him that he wants to read all the books before he gets rid of them, and he wants her to help him read. And as they read, Mildred tends to get upset and says that books aren't people. You read, and I look around, I see nothing. Nothing, I didn't see anybody. My family is people. They tell me things, I laugh, they laugh, in colors. And as they're arguing, there are bombers that are flying around. They fly right over their house. Montag thinks that Mildred is stupid for falling behind for the burning of books. And as he is reading, Mildred is watching TV, and he remembers an old retired English professor who was thrown out 40 years ago, and called him to ask him about how many copies of the Bible are left in the country. Faber claims he doesn't know, and then Montag asks how many copies are left of Shakespeare and Plato. He answers with none, and he hangs the phone up. Faber, he was a college professor. That's what he taught. What was it like? He was like liberal arts, and eventually got thrown out due to the lack of students that he had.
Montag wants to go to Faber himself and wants the answers, but before he leaves, he shows Mildred a copy of the Old and New Testaments from the Bible that he stole a Bible, or that Faber gave to him, actually. Mildred says that he is ruining their relationship with these books, and she asks him what's more important, her or the Bible. And an important question that Montag asks Mildred is, like, does your family love you very much with all their heart and their soul? And that's like a significant question, because like Mildred doesn't believe in like the Bible. Like, that's not like, people aren't known for that. Like when all of this is going on, like people are oblivious to the whole Bible pretty much, besides a select group of people.
Montag goes on and gets on a train, go meet with Faber. As he gets on, he has the Bible out openly in his hand, and all the other riders see it, and they start saying, "Downs, Denifrice, and to go get the guard," since that's a crime for having a book and all that sort of stuff. After Montag gets off the train, he goes on and meets with Faber, and Faber asks for the Bible. After looking through the Bible, Faber asks Montag, "Why is he here?" And Montag says that nobody's willing to listen to me. I can't talk to the walls because they're yelling at me. I can't talk to my wife because she listens to the walls. And the walls in this story, no, they will actually like speak to you, since everything's so modern with technology. And he also wants someone to hear and listen to what he has to say. Faber explains why people don't hate books. He explains that it shows the pores in the face of life. Montag brings up to Faber that, and if he can get a press, that's an old press, he can print out more books, and he can you can go ahead and print out more books. But Faber denies the plan and doesn't want to help Montag. So in order for Faber to help Montag, Montag starts tearing pages out of the Bible. So eventually Faber gives in and asks what does Montag need, and Montag says he needs him to teach him, which I don't know what that means, but Faber apparently he knew an old man and had an old college prayer for the old college paper, and so he can print out a few books. Faber went ahead and gave Montag a small earpiece. It's actually smaller than a .22 caliber bullet. But it's sticking in his ear so he can stay with Montag. I guess he travels around, so he knows what's going on with the firemen. I guess one more here.
Montag went home to eat something, and when he did, Mildred's friends, Mrs. Bowles and Miss Phillips, came to the door. After they had been in the house for a while, Montag leaves and comes back with a book. When the ladies see the book, they want to leave, but Montag has them sit and listen to some poetry. After he finished the poem, Miss Phelps was crying and Miss Bowles was upset and knew what was going to happen. As Miss Bowles was leaving, Montag tells her to remember her husband, remember all the abortions, and remember all the children that hate her. You'll see when I explain the characters, but Miss Bowles had 6 relationships, and yeah, they've all gone bad.
Yeah, husband left her, either he died in some crash or he killed himself, and I think she had 6 abortions maybe, I remember, and she has 2 children that don't like her. So. As Montag went to the firehouse, he found Captain Eddie playing, and the other firemen playing cards, and as Montag went up the pole. Yes, he actually went up the pole. He saw he was waiting by the hole, and eventually he gave Betty a book, and he threw that book in the dumpster. And and it has, they're sitting around playing cards. Betty starts telling him about this dream that he had and everything and all the stuff that he was just blabbing about. Faber is sitting there in Montag's ear telling him, no, don't listen to Betty, and then try to ignore him. And as they're playing cards, the siren goes off for another call. And eventually, as they get there, Montag actually finds out that they actually pulled up right in front of his house.
When they get out of the truck, Betty reveals that he had sent the hound. There's this hound that like knows a bunch of stuff and it can sense, like it's like a mechanical dog pretty much, to his house, and it's like an attack dog. Mildred walks out of the house with a suitcase and leaves, admitting to calling the firemen. Like his own wife called the firemen on him and their house, and Betty wants Montag to burn his own house down, and on his own, and he burns the bedroom walls, furniture, silverware with a flamethrower, eventually burning the books. After burning the books, Betty was given to place Montag under arrest and questioned him why did he have the books and such. And as Betty questioned Montag, he was punching him, and when he did, he knocked out the earpiece he was listening to Faber with, because Montag had a thing that he was taking advice from Faber, because Faber was against all this stuff. And just as Montag was going to be arrested, Montag picked up the flamethrower he burned his house with, and burned Betty right alive right there, and killed him. And then he knocked out Stoneman and Black, who are other firemen that work with him. And then he burned the mechanical hound and pretty much just dipped on all of them and escaped.
After all this, Montag started running away, and instinctively he started heading back to Faber's house, hoping for him that he knew the answer. While on the run, he heard the police alert for him saying that he was wanted and dangerous, and he just kept running as police copters chased him, and they were actually driving like police beetles. It was basically almost every car was almost like a beetle car. And they were speeding down the road looking for him. And eventually they did get another mechanical hound from another police station in another town. And as he entered the house, Montag ran into Faber, and they checked the TV and saw that police. And so they got another mechanical hound, so they started drinking the whiskey, because eventually, the whiskey was gonna like get rid of Montag's scent, and so the mechanical hound can't chase Montag. Apparently the mechanical hound has 10,000, can chase up to 10,000 scents at once. And before they left, Faber gave Montag a suitcase full of his old clothes, the rest of the whiskey, and told him to go to the river and just follow the river down the stream. And as soon as he got to the river, Montag stripped down all of his clothes, drank the whiskey, he and snorted whiskey up his nose, changed into Faber's old clothes, and then he threw all his clothes down the river. And so just to escape. And as he went down the river, the hound ended up actually losing his scent, and the policeman just turned around and went back to the city to go searching for him. As Montag continued to go downstream, the river flowed him along the shore, and he walked through the woods to found a group of men around a fire and offered him coffee. They had a battery-powered TV watching the whole chase, and they saw a man come up out from a corner and was attacked by the mechanical hound. Eventually, the television screen went black, and it came back saying that they have caught Montag and he's been killed. Which means Demon's search was over.
Key characters. Captain Beatty. He was captain of Montag's fire department. he hated books and people in general. He just hated, if you like books or had anything to do with books at all, he hated you. And people who insist on reading them. He was very devious. It kind of appeared at some points that he was like reading Montag's thoughts and knew what he was going to do or say and stuff like that. Miss Bowles is one of Mildred's friends. She's not seemed to really care about the miserable life. Like, she has a miserable life and she just doesn't care at this point. She had one husband was killed in an accident, one suicide, divorced. She's 2 children that hate her, and she's just like the normal sad person in the society, like, that hates her life. Professor Faber is a retired English professor. He longs for books and he hates the state that the society is in. He says the state of society is due to cowards like him that don't want to speak up or say anything about that it's bad that they're burning these books and how everything's going about, and that's why the society is like it is. And then Granger is the leader of the book people, the people Montag finds when he is escaping from the river. And Granger is really intelligent, is patient, is confident, and committed to preserving literature through the Dark Age and not letting it die out like it seems like it's going to. Mildred Montag. It's Montag's brittle, sickly wife. Mildred is obsessed with watching TV, and she refuses to engage in any conversations about her and her husband's feelings toward each other in their marriage. And she's really often to forget, she'll do the sleeping pills. She did the sleeping pills thing more than once, and she never acknowledges it, or that she has a problem. She doesn't talk to Montag about their problems or any of her feelings at all. She's kind of just bland and just whatever, it happens, it happens. Miss Phelps is one of Mildred's friends. She's emotionally disconnected from her life, and she's unconcerned when, especially when the war breaks out and her 3rd husband got sent there. And she's the one that started crying when Montag read the poem to them. Stoneman and Black, they're 2 firemen that worked along with Montag, and they just go about their jobs unquestionably and just do what they gotta do. Clarice McLean, she's a beautiful 17-year-old who she introduces Montag to the world's potential for the beauty and meaning of books and everything that he's missing out on because he's such a bland guy and just does his job and goes home and that stuff. She's an outcast to the society. She has odd habits, including hiking, playing with flowers, and asking questions, because a lot of people they go about their business. They don't question anything that's going on, anything that happens, and people, it's just not a fun society to live in. And she's an outcast from that. She doesn't do those same things that everyone else does. Guy Montag, he's a 3rd-generation fireman. He has a really hard time thinking for himself. He lets other people determine what he's going to do and never really lets what he wants or what happens for him. And he's determined to break free of his own ignorance in this book, and he does. key symbols in this book. The seed in the sand. It's taken from a childhood memory. He compares it to his attempt to read the whole Bible as quickly as possible to hope he would retain some material. And it's the sand at the beach, and like when you sift the sand through, it's just him thinking of his childhood and how like his just attempt on like how bad his childhood was. The second symbol is the phoenix, and Granger thinks of this phoenix repeatedly in the book because the phoenix burns itself up and it'll rise from its after it burns itself, it'll just rise from its own ashes. It never dies from fire. It's like it's an endless cycle, and it's an endless cycle, like the fires that they're. The endless cycle of the phoenix, and to stop the fires from burning in the first place, like the phoenix, like the fires just keep burning, and so does the phoenix, and they want to stop like both of those. The first theme is censorship. Censorship suggests that many factors combine during the book. Many factors combined to encourage book burning. People lost interest in reading because different forms of entertainment, like TV, radio, and this whole generation, everyone in the society was just so caught up in fast cars, loud music, advertisements, and it was just people were leaving no time to concentrate on the main things, and they were just so caught up in what was popular and stuff, and most of the mass published material was too overwhelming to think about in some cases. The censorship is what's leading to the society condensing books and not wanting books. The second theme is knowledge versus ignorance. The plot centers are in this book. The plot centers around tension between knowledge and ignorance. The fireman's duty is to destroy knowledge and promote ignorance, to create a homogeneized population. Montag is encouraged with encounter with Clarice. The old woman and Faber all ignite his spark about to approach and search for the knowledge that he gains on books and before, and he's why am I burning these? This isn't a bad thing, it's not a sin, and he wants to share that. He wants to destroy his ignorance and share with everyone that books aren't as bad as everyone's making them out to be. Religion as knowledge and giver. Bradbury uses religion and imagery to suggest the unholy quality of this Montag society that he's living in, and those who oppose ignorance in book burning, do so in Christianity. So Montag and the guys he met down the river and Granger, they're the ones that would take place in normal Christianity, and everyone else is would be if you're an atheist, I guess. But Faber takes that Christian value of forgiveness and telling Montag to pity his society instead of hating it. Faber describes himself as water and Montag fire, saying merging the two produce wine. At the beginning of the novel, fire is a weapon of a restricted society, but Montag reverses its meaning, using it to burn Betty and finally win his freedom at the end of the book.
Fahrenheit, right? If everyone is a dystopian novel, does that shows that anyone gains knowledge or has a different opinion on anything, and is punished because you're not allowed. Because of this society, you're not allowed to gain anything out of it. You're not allowed to be, be different from anybody else. You have to stay the course and just follow along.